The Rock. This is a film 1996, directed by Michael Bay. The score is by Nick Lenny Smith, Hans Zimmer, and Harry Gregson Williams. The log line for the film is a mild-mannered chemist and an ex-con must lead a counterstrike when a rogue group of military men led by a renegade general threaten a nerve gas attack from Alcatraz against San Francisco. Now, this movie, and this is one of the soundtracks I listen to the most, if not the most, probably in my entire life. But for me, why this is so important is not only because I love this score, but it really showed me at the time when I first saw this film, I really recognized the score and how it was able to heighten the film. I saw this movie for the first time on VHS, maybe like a year after it came out, and fell in love with the film. I mean, I could talk for hours about how brilliant this movie is. I mean, one of the best action movies ever made. But the key scenes in the film are really elevated to me in terms of that excitement factor by what they're able to do with the score. It's the first time I was starting to recognize too how, even a simple action movie like this could have a score that does a lot of work to elevate the material instead of just be something kind of on in the background where you're looking at the explosions, you're looking at the action scene, and the music is just part of that, as opposed to a main part of that is kind of driving that action forward. It was also one of the films that got me into recognizing Hans Zimmer and that type of film score. I was very much obsessed with the more like John Williams, like full orchestral score, and less of this score, which mixes a lot of electronic music, guitar into it. So this is something that was all new for me. And now he's one of my favorite film composers. But really for me, it's like how it elevates the action. Even to the point where, my friends in college, we would put the score on and reenact scenes from the movie along with the score, especially the pivotal scene at the end, which also is one of my favorite scenes from any film. At the end of the movie when, Nicolas Cage has defeated the bad guys and now he has to crawl out of Alcatraz onto the shore and signal the military to not bomb Alcatraz because the enemy is defeated. The way the score is used in that sequence it makes it so powerful, along with Michael Bay's direction. And we would reenact that green smoke scene. We'd throw the soundtrack on. One of us would play like the fighter pilot. One of us would be like Nick Cage. We'd be able to recite all the dialogue. That's how much this score meant to me. But yeah,
and you would play the score while you were
play the score. We'd say someone's shouting green smoke, someone else is like jumping down like as the explosion happens. Yeah, this was in college. This is what I did. I was a nerd. But this score, like I think I played this score more than any other score. Maybe my number one, which I'll get to, that might be more than that. But yeah, this score unlocked again my love of Hans Zimmer and really showed me how a score in an action movie that might just be like quote unquote a dumb action movie could be elevated by the score. Though again, I think the film is not just a dumb popcorn film. But to me, this score had to be on this list. If not number one, but I had to put it at number two.
Yeah, I watched this movie when it came out and I remember really loving it, really enjoying it. It sort of felt like, kind of what Hollywood movie, especially from that generation, represents, like big blockbuster action, big stars and what have you. The score was a big part of it. I had not watched this movie since. I had not listened to score since until like a few weeks ago. And the score is incredible. I will say that. I think the way at least my brain understands like big Hollywood movie scores, this is kind of what it is, but it's not just slumming it. Like there's a lot of work that's happening, like you said. So I really appreciated that. To quote what you said, it really elevates the material, which is kind of, my backhanded way of saying that the movie now watching it, I couldn't get through half of it. And
really?
I had to quit.
Because you were bored by it?
No, I don't know, just felt so cheesy to me. And I don't know. And maybe I need to watch it on a different night when I'm in the mood for something like that, which is kind of popcorny and fun or what have you. But it just felt really cheesy off its time, which I totally acknowledge. But wasn't really into the movie, but I was into the score for sure. And part of me was like, why is the score on this movie? Because this score is way better than the movie. But maybe I'm being a little too harsh on it. Maybe I need to watch it another time when I'm in the mood for something like that. But
yeah, I mean,
I
I
will
think
not take away from the score. The score.
yeah. I mean, I think we again could get into a whole discussion, and I could make a very thought out argument on why I think this is the best action movie that has ever been made.
Really?
When I rewatched it again for this, because maybe it's been a year since I've seen it. I mean, every time I watch it, it's just like more layers get revealed, and more of just the craft that was put into this. Definitely Michael Bay's masterpiece. But yeah, getting back to the score, it does though heighten a lot of things, bring a lot of pathos. There's a lot of work done on the characters, especially the Ed Harris's villain character, and the theme that they give him is not one of a villain theme. It's more like a tragic hero theme, because he's not really a villain. Like, he is basically taking over Alcatraz, and threatening to, gas San Francisco, because he's felt betrayed by the American government because they've mistreated Marines over the years. So it's coming from some sense of honor. He's not just some terrorist psychopath. And what the score the theme that they give him is one of this. It's almost like a tragic hero theme, which really adds to him, especially when he dies. There's a big swell of that theme, and you really feel for him, I think, a lot through the score, and Ed Harris's performance, which is fantastic. But I do think the score helps add a lot of those elements into the film that in a typical action movie, it might just be something you would just write off. Oh, this is some crazy villain. And, we just have to get to the set piece of Alcatraz and a hostage and some, gas attack. And that's all that the movie would care about. But I think this movie is so grounded in its characters, that, and the score, I think, does add to that. So at the very least, I'm not saying you have, we should watch this movie together, first of all. And I can talk you through it.
Together.
But
that's the way to do it.
At the very least, just go on YouTube and rewatch, because you might not have gotten to this yet, that final sequence. That is, again, probably one of my top 10 favorite sequences in any movie. It's fantastic. And the score is a huge part of that. But I'm a huge, I will always push the rock on anyone.
Two words that I never thought I would hear in one sentence is Michael Bay and masterpiece. So
I will remind you, like, this was back too, like before Transform. He was one of my favorite directors up until Pearl Harbor and then Transformers, and now, I'm not a big fan of his films, but no, he was a very important action voice in the 90s. This and Bad Boys, I think, are two just fantastic films. But not so much anymore. He's definitely fallen off of my list.
Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now, or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.